Okay, this video might be a mess, and that's because we're going to talk or attempt to talk about what's happening with Palworld. If you've been living under a rock, how is it? What's the spacing like? Because, shit's expensive, and if rocks are the way we're going, I want to know what type of rock. Leave a comment. Tell me what kind of rock you're living under if you've been living under a rock. But Palworld is now available. It's in early access, and it's pretty successful. Crazily successful. Like I think 3 or 5 million units sold already. And the biggest thing at Palworld is people are comparing it to Pokemon. In fact, I believe game sites like IGN have dubbed it Pokemon with guns. And to be fair, I know we don't all love IGN, but I also think most of us thought Pokemon with guns. And that seems to be causing a lot of problems, at the very least online. I think outside of it, most people who are just playing it on Steam or Game Pass are just playing the game. And what I could tell, they're really, really, really enjoying it. But as those people who are chronically online, I see certain things. And so I've been trying to parse together exactly what's been happening. And luckily for me, gaming sites who do this professionally have kind of consolidated this into one thing. So we're going to talk about that. And I want to talk about what this means for, things like Pokemon. But first, let's get into what IGN has to say about this. So here we have an article that came out on the 19th. Pokemon fans are coming for Palworld with a vengeance. I'm covering it a little bit, but that's what the title says. And yeah, so apparently a lot of Pokemon fans are mad that Palworld is a little too similar to their game. So they have been accusing it mostly of theft or stealing IP, being unoriginal, having these character designs look eerily similar to Pokemon designs. And this is not the first time I have seen this personally online. There's been so many threads on Twitter just addressing that one, especially this one image, all the time. And then there's some people talking about the fact that, these look similar, but Pokemon also takes inspiration from other games and media and all those things too. So one was comparing Pokemon games to Dragon Quest, and how the Dragon Quest enemies and the Pokemon creatures look awfully similar, and trying to show that, maybe not everyone is just stealing from each other, but just taking inspiration from. But this is more from Pokemon fans, so we're not going to get as nuanced. Just going to be like, they're copying everything. Telling you not to support Palworld, even if it's not such a ripoff, how much has it stolen, and all that too. There's also been accusations of it being AI generative art. And that's a huge thing too that I'm seeing. But for the most part, most of these complaints are just these guys have not had original character designs, and that makes it not good. But some people are obviously not agreeing with them on that end. I do see it from both sides. I do see it how, yes, this could be seen as they're just ripping off Pokemon. In fact, I believe this company has another game which basically rips off Breath of the Wild, or from very least the intro of Breath of the Wild, including them running out of a little cavern out to a whole huge green landscape with the camera doing a 360 span. But I also understand that anytime you have games that have any sort of creatures that you can control or play with, they're going to compare it to Pokemon. Even if this game is built mostly towards survival. There's a crafting mechanics in this that's not in Pokemon. Obviously, there's the guns that aren't in Pokemon. But base building, survival, that's not Pokemon. This would be closer to, I would say, Rust or Ark than Pokemon. But because they have pals, people are going to call it Pokemon ripoff. Which is hilarious, especially because in this game you can, capture people. Which, not good, but you can capture people and force them to be your pals. You can also butcher them, including the pals. But I believe there's a huge discrepancy in at least the way the target audiences are. I don't think Game Freaks is going to lose sleep over this game, truly, just because, or at the very least, not because it's biting on their territory. But I'll get into more detail with that later on. Now I want to talk about the death threats. This is the internet in 2024, and something's more popular than another thing. Of course there's going to be death threats. Here we are back at IGN. The developer says that during the admitted being called a ripoff from Pokemon, they were getting some death threats right here. Frantically working through all my DMs and emails, I promise, Bucky said. However, you'll excuse me if I skip over the death threats, threats to the company, and massively outlandish claims. If you're capable of writing like an actual human being, though, I'll reply ASAP. Pocketpair CEO Takuro Mizobe also tweeted to say that they have received death threats and hit out a slanderous comment. Currently, we're receiving slanderous comments against our artists, and we are seeing tweets that appear to be death threats. I have received a variety of opinions regarding Palworld, but all productions related to Palworld are supervised by multiple people, including myself, and now I'm responsible for the production. I would appreciate it if you would refrain from slandering the artists involved in Palworld. So that has more to do with the fact, like I said earlier, that people are accusing them of using AI generative art and calling it just like this soulless Pokemon ripoff. And listen, I'm going to be frank with you. I have no idea if they're in fact using AI generative art or not. I have not played Palworld yet. And I haven't played mostly because I work a lot. Like I work 6 days a week, so I don't have the time to play all the games I want to play. But also this conversation of it using AI art, I want to make sure that I'm not supporting a game in any way, shape, or form, even though it's just on Game Pass for me. I'm not technically buying it. I don't want to like be covering it in that regard if in fact they are using AI art, because that sucks. I always support the artists, and I like to put my money in my mouth. We gotta stop meeting like this. But no, in all seriousness. So I was looking more into it, and I guess this AI claim is coming from a article in which the CEO of Pocketpair was talking about BuzzFeed using AI to create like Fakemon, and now people who are supposedly Pokemon fans are using that to say that, yeah, all of this is AI generative and yada, 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 yada. So while not 100% conclusive, there's also a thing that said that Steam makes the people have to disclose they're using AI or not legally in order for them to be promoted on their services. So it's looking like this game is not AI generative, but nothing's 1,000% confirmed. But it does track that people online would just kind of say whatever in order to support their favorite product. You know, consumerism is a drug. But I am still going to wait on playing Palworld for myself, but I just wanted to let you guys know that that information is out there. And also, again, if you guys love this face, you love a guy who can barely speak, subscribe, share my stuff. We're going to be posting a lot more videos. Not all just news-related stuff, though, so look forward to that. Okay, bye. But, so until that's clear, I'm not really going to be playing this game. But from what I've seen, this has just been the major discourse. And I think most of it has to do with the fact that it is a hugely successful game. Like there's no way getting around it. It's the #1 game on Steam. It's probably going to be one of the biggest games this year, to be completely honest. I know it's early to call that because it's literally the first month of the year. But all signs are pointing to yes, Palworld will be one of the most popular games this year. That all being said, though, there have been conversations about them getting sued. Mostly from the fans, but even news articles are covering it, like Kotaku. They're talking about it here. Palworld devs aren't worried about a Nintendo lawsuit. Pocketpair CEO said the company has absolutely no intention of infringing upon Pokemon copyright. And yeah, I feel like you would have to say that and clear that shit before you even decided to put this game out. And there was a lot of threads, again, on Twitter, like this one right here, where they're talking about they went through the entire 111 list of pals in Palworld to see what seems like a Pokemon ripoff compared to not, because I've seen a lot of people talking about it. And I read this thread. It's pretty lengthy, but it doesn't honestly prove anything. Why did I say honestly like that? I put on to say actually and honestly. I said honestly. Honestly doesn't prove anything. But yeah, there's just people being really upset about this game for a multitude of reasons. But again, like I said here, they even said it here, it's less like Nintendo and more like, you know, Ark Survive Evolve, which makes sense because again, Pokemon games, you don't have to craft or do survival or anything like that. And also, a lot of people online are talking about how the success of this game is going to galvanize Game Freaks because, you know, they're going to have an actual legitimate competitor. To which other people are saying, hey, what about games like Digimon and like Monster Rancher and all those things too, right? Those monster hunting games too that actually compete with Pokemon in that particular field. I'm also going to be honest with you guys. What about those games? None of those games had anywhere close to the level of hype or sales initially like Palworld has. They just haven't. And they've been around for much, much, much longer. And I'm sure they have a very strong, robust fan base, but it has nothing comparison to Pokemon or even what's happening in Palworld right now. People aren't talking about Digimon this way. And Digimon hasn't been given this level of treatment. So that's kind of a moot point. But I do want to talk about the fact of why I think this game is so popular. And it has to do 100% with Pokemon. A lot of fans are disappointed with how the Pokemon franchise has been going lately, which is why a game like Palworld, which didn't even build itself as Pokemon with guns so much as the community has built it with Pokemon as guns, but just off of that premise alone, has enticed people to come to play. Pokemon with guns sounds hilarious. I'll give it a shot, but it's doing something different than Pokemon. I think people want to have a bigger evolution with the Pokemon franchise than what they've been getting, because they've been evolving, but it's been very steady and slow. Like, and then when they try with like, what was it? Not Legend Arceus, but like the Sword and Shield one, the most recent one, that was a hot mess. And then here you have a game that, yes, we can agree to at least say it's inspired by Pokemon, but you have this game that is fully 3D, that you can run on your PC, that you can do baseball, and you can do a bunch of stuff too. It's taken the Pokemon formula and in some instances expanded upon it. And I think that is why people are so hyped about it. And that is why people are putting up think piece after think piece, video after video on this topic, because it's showing where there is a market of where Pokemon could expand into, or where other people can expand into it. Because let's just say Digimon does this, right? They do a fully 3D game where you can interact with the Digimon and live there and eat there and all that stuff too. That might be their ticket to having more long-lasting notoriety than just being like the non-Pokemon franchise. And again, I'm not a Digimon fan, I'm not a Pokemon fan, so this is how I see it. But because of what Palworld is doing, again, this game was out for like 24 hours and made like 2 million copies. That's insane. It is telling people that there is a market for this. So regardless if you are a fan of generative AI or not, regardless if you are a Pokemon diehard or not, regardless if you're a base building diehard or not, this game is showing that there is a starving audience out there. And if you aren't going to feed them, they're going to get their food somewhere else. So maybe Game Freaks doesn't sue them, but I would be shocked if Game Freaks isn't taking notice of the level of attention that Palworld is at least generating, and thinking of ways to implement some of that in their next Pokemon game. But that's just my opinion, obviously. What do you guys think? Do you think this whole Palworld situation is being blown out of proportion? Is it just a chronically online thing? Do you think there's actually some validity to the claims that they're AI generative, or this is just a big ass ripoff? Have you been playing Palworld? So many questions I have. So many questions. Leave them in the comments after you guys subscribe and like and share all the YouTube things. It's going to be all over here. And I probably have another video queued up for you somewhere here. Let's say here. Let's do it here. We'll put it there. Hopefully this Palworld shit dies down, because I'm tired of seeing it on my timeline, to be completely honest. I'm not even following people and I'm still getting it. But I'll see you guys next video.